Podcast 921. Stupid Tech News.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. Now, we don't typically do like best ofs or, end of year and all of the stuff that you heard from so many other podcasts near the end of 2022. But as I was looking at some, possible topics to talk about this week, it was like, God, they all look so stupid. And then it was like, aha, they look stupid. So that was why I decided to go this particular route. Because, Gaz, as you know, news on this podcast is serious business, no matter how many times we laugh at it. And it can be hard sometimes to take news seriously, and other times it just lends itself to hyperbole and ridicule. But we approach these topics with much thought and insight, or at least that's what we tell ourselves anyway. How are you? Let's see if I can do this without bouncing. Can I do this? I can't even see. I can't see, Gaz. I cannot see.
Now, the funny thing is, the reason Guy, for those on the podcast, is saying that he cannot see is he's wearing some of those typically Beatle-esque John Lennon round dark glasses. Don't ask me why he's wearing dark glasses on a podcast. He's trying to look cool for himself. He can't see anything. There's reflections in it, so I can see all of the porno that he's actually watching on his screen. Although he's pretending that he's being serious.
Right there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I can see it all there. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Who knew she could bend that way?
And I'll tell you what, it's not pretty either way. No. I am very well, Guy. Thank you very much, Lee. Had a pretty wonderful New Year. We spent it, as we have done in non-COVID years, in a hotel, by staying in a hotel with some friends and having a meal and doing some dancing, and it was very nice. It was too. However, before that, I did strain my lower back putting a load of logs into a basket and stupidly pick them up at an awkward angle.
Well, it's weird that they would ask you to do that at the hotel you stayed at.
Well, we've got lots of very old hotels. The thing is, the heating bills that everyone is having to pay for, we're all having to help out. Anyway, MyMac couldn't have done anything about that, and that's as close as I'm going to get to talking about and my Apple-related goings-on over New Year, to be honest with you. We have just come back from Betwis Ecoed.
Okay,
I got that completely wrong.
I was going to ask you about that because I saw the spelling of the pictures that you had over on the book faces. And
most English people would just say Betsy Coed, but I think it's Betwis Ecoed. So I'm going to get loads of people telling me
I would have gotten.
Loads of people are going to tell me that's completely wrong, and I do realise that it's probably completely wrong. But it's a very nice place, and we had a couple of days there, did some walking, and very enjoyable it was too. Thank you. How about you?
Well, in comparison, our New Year's Eve, my God, they had to drag us off the dance floor.
I sure they did.
In my dreams, because it was actually very, very quiet. And I actually fell asleep like at 10 p.m., which is like ridiculous. It's it's like when did I become that old guy that it's like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I should be asleep right now. I did wake up long enough to see TCU, Texas Christian University, I think, beat Ohio State at the very end of the game, which was right at midnight. And I was very happy to see that because two of the teams, and here's football talk, two of the teams that were in the college football finals was Ohio State and Michigan, which have this like ridiculous rivalry. And they'd already played this year. And if those two teams had been playing for the national championship, it wouldn't have been about the game any longer. It would have been about, it's Ohio State versus Michigan. So I'm glad that neither one of those teams made it into the finals. So if you're an Ohio State or Michigan fan, sorry, that's just how I feel about it. But that game ended.
Can I jump? Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish with that.
I was just going to say, the game ended like right at midnight. So I woke up just for the ending of that game.
Oh, cool. And can we send our best wishes to, is it Damar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills?
Of the Buffalo Bills.
I did see that because obviously I kind of follow American football a little bit. I enjoy watching it.
That was very, very scary.
That was very, very scary. But
they're not gonna play the game. They decided not to play the game.
Okay, so right. Okay, so does that have an impact on either teams then?
Mostly on Cincinnati for
Right.
the tiebreaker, and a lot of it is going to depend on what Kansas City does, which is another team that's way up there.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
but
it's really kind of too bad, not because of what happened to DeMar, but the fact that both of these teams, Cincinnati and Buffalo, are both in the playoffs, and where their standings are would have been affected by the outcome of this game. So
yeah.
Best
wishes to him anyway. There are things that are much bigger than the result of a game. So
there is, and he's fortunately he is up and around. He's conscious, so hopefully he will make
for those of you both in America and in the UK that don't really follow American football. Basically, a player went into a tackle. He was hit in his chest area by the helmet of the opposing player. Not on purpose. It was just a clash. It was just a clash, a normal clash, which can happen in all of the games. And then he went down, but he then stood up, this player. And as he stood up, he then just collapsed onto the floor. And I think there was a referee who stood next to him who immediately, was pulling the medics on. So, wasn't good. But he's well. He's well. Well, he's not well, but he's
feeling
recovering.
He is recovering. Cool. I'm kind of dealing with a chest cold right now. I'm very, very congested, and it's fortunately it's not COVID. It's just a lot of congestion, which is probably kind of affecting the way my voice sounds.
I didn't notice any difference.
Really? Oh, okay, good. So
I'm joking.
I sound the same way I always do.
Congested.
Yeah, congested. And it's in my head, Gaz. The congestion is in my head. And luckily it always was.
Yes, absolutely. Well, luckily your mic, the Lewitt 440 Pure, wouldn't be picking that up because you're not using it, are you?
I'm not using my 440. I tried. We had some echo problems before we started the podcast today, and hopefully it's not being recorded because you can't get an echo out of a podcast. It just doesn't work, not at all. But before we move off the topic of tech, or actually, I guess we have to actually get to the topic of tech.
We do.
I'm getting an 8 terabyte internal hard drive for my 4-bay JBOD. And if you don't know what a JBOD is, that's just a bunch of disks is basically what that acronym means. And the reason why I had to get an 8 terabyte internal drive was that the 4 terabyte one that I use to archive video is about 500 gigs away from being full. So it's like, okay. And because this is a tech show, if that drive had failed, well, supposedly it's a tech show. If that drive had failed, I would still be okay because all of those drives are being backed up to Backblaze. And they're an online service. And so every single thing that I've got in this room, as far as data goes, is protected outside of this house. So this house could get hit by a nuclear bomb and my data would survive. I probably wouldn't be
We'd
all that
still
great.
be able to podcast. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's good news or bad news, really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, and last thing before we get to the snippets. There's a review coming up on mymac.com, and I know that's a crazy sound. And the reason why I know it's coming up is because I wrote it. And it's for one of the many, many microphones I have, the Fifine K683A USB condenser microphone. Because if I'm going to own all these mics, I may as well start reviewing them, Gaz. So I'm hoping about every...
You may as well.
You may as well.
You may as well, yeah. You may as well.
So I'm hoping about every 2 weeks to get another review up. And I'll probably add some kind of video component to it before I'm done. But
I think as you're doing mics, maybe you should put some sound component to it.
So that's a sound idea.
Yeah, that jumps us straight into Gaz's snippets, I think.
Please.
Because what I should have played at that point really would have been, let me see if I can find, I can't find it, can I? Yeah. That's what I should have played. Okay, but I played Gaz's snippets and straight in. This one, you're going to love this. A lawsuit has claimed that Apple Watch sensor is racist, Guy.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. I think actually that this may or may not be the sensor is racist. No. This happens actually with AI stuff. A lot of stuff is biased. I'm going to use the word biased rather than racist because that's a bit of a silly word to use against an inanimate object. This bottle is racist. Why? Because it's clear. Yes. So let's not go down that avenue because it's a bit stupid and empty. That's
racist. That's the real tragedy right
drink.
there.
That's racist against actual drink. So
that's the tragedy is that it's empty.
Yeah, very often though you can have a lot of bias in algorithms, but that's a whole nother session which I've actually had on some technical stuff at work I did once, but we'll move on from that. Apple shares 10 useful iPhone tips and tricks. Why did I put that in? Because I was going to watch it. I didn't watch it. I'll watch it for next week. When is Apple Music classical launching? We're still asking that question. Come on, Apple, pull your finger out. I've repeated that. I want classical stuff out there as well because I'm, I like my classical music.
Yeah.
Well, you said it. Apparently, Apple stock lost $1 trillion this year, last year, 2022, because we're in 2023 now. Did you know that, Guy? In 2023.
We are.
We are. Lost $1 trillion last year as iPhone shipments forecasted to drop 2023 into 2023.
Okay.
Wow.
Listen. It's got nothing to do with how many phones Apple has sold. It's perception which drives down the price of the stock. And as far as that $1 trillion, Tim, check the couch cushions. That's where it is.
Oh, dear. Apple have been sued by an ex-patent attorney alleging discrimination and harassment. iPhone 4, I'm not going to hang around on some of these. iPhone 14 Pro availability improves after Christmas. Demand eases and production increases. So they're going to be catching up. If you just let me get on to that.
But they're not selling as many because, reasons. That's why the stock goes down.
Reasons, absolutely. Apple Watch can accurately predict stress level, a study has shown, guys.
Can it? Can it really?
Apple didn't release any new Macs this last quarter, for the first time since the year. When, Guy, do you know when?
I'm going to say 1884.
Well, that's a safe guess.
That's why I made it.
But it's wrong. Since the year 2000, Guy.
I'm sure
Apple
there'll be more Macs coming out.
I'm sure there will. I'm sure there'll be a plethora of Macs coming up. It's so many. Apple data center town heating plan may finally happen 6 years after it was originally touted. I remember this, and that's why I put it into this, because I remember that they were talking about heating a town using the excess heat from a data center. Well, that was 6 years ago, folks, and they're now actually looking at doing it.
Well, they had to put that dryer vent all the way into town. That's what took so long.
Apple adds iOS 16.2 home app upgrade to internal list of major issues. Didn't I mention this last week?
They have been talking about that for...
I vaguely remember that one. I wonder whether I've actually not cleared some of this. No, that has been cleared. Apple stock hit an 18-month low last week amid the iPhone Pro supply issues, which has now turned around and it's increased. So it's not just supply issues. It's because of stuff.
Total crap. Sorry, excuse me.
Tim Cook and Japanese PM Kishida have discussed user privacy. Digital My Number IDs and so much more, because Tim Cook was recently in Japan, or the Japan Prime Minister was in the
California.
States. I'm not sure.
It was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, okay? They were each on their yachts.
Honolulu.
And they were on their yachts passing by and said, "Oh, yeah, come on over for dinner." And then they talked about that stuff.
They did. How did you know that? It didn't tell me that in this article.
Kidneys.
I'm going to talk about Brazilians.
Are you going to say something good or something bad?
Sorry,
they have their own martial arts, you know. So be careful.
Apple updates its Brazilian homepage with a tribute to the soccer player Pelé. Yes, he died recently, and
I used to hate him. I used to hate him.
Why? He was a class
I know.
player,
he played. Now this goes back to the 70s, okay? Right. He played, there was a soccer league called the NASL, North American Soccer League. He played for the New York Cosmos. Mm-hmm. My team, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, they were like the two best teams in the league. And almost every single year, they would be at each other for the final. And Pele would do some kind of miraculous thing where he would score goals and Fort Lauderdale would lose. And it was the only thing we had. We had the Dolphins, but that was Miami. We had a soccer team. Just give it to us. For 1 year, they couldn't do it. Pele would beat us every single year. However, he is or was a great player and a true gentleman ambassador for the sport.
Absolutely. And Apple has been and shut down the weather app Dark Sky, finally.
Yeah.
So there you go. We've been expecting that, I think. Apple increasing the price of out-of-warranty iPhone, Mac, and iPad battery replacements starting in March. Now, apparently in the US, it will increase by $20, and I think it will increase proportionally around the world.
If you're going to break your crap, this is the time to do it. Do it now before the price goes up.
Absolutely.
Break your crap.
Yes. Yeah. As long as it's not in warranty and still above 80%, because if it is, then they won't do it, I don't think. It's got to be out of warranty. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney teases Fortnite returning to iOS in 2023 as legal battle continues. Yeah, right. Well, we'll see about that, shall we? I'm getting so bored with that particular story.
Is anybody still even playing Fortnite that cares?
Oh, I think they are. Did you know that Apple TV Plus has hired the veteran Disney exec Ricky Strauss as the new head of marketing? Did you know that guy?
Not Ricky Strauss. I have no idea who Ricky
Strauss. Yeah, he's the ex-veteran Disney exec.
Oh, well, then things should just turn right around there.
Apple AirTags have revealed United Airlines lie about missing luggage. I think they're probably
Hold on a second. Right up there with politicians. Airlines lie. Why am I not surprised?
And I've mentioned this before that I often did a valuation of Apple when they were moving on up. Well, they've been moving on down slightly. Apple's market valuation has dropped below the, wait for it, 2 trillion mark as stock price continues to fall. But that's stuff around the world. So
obviously
because
they're
of
doomed.
Stuff. They are doomed.
Doomed.
Apple are likely to be the only major device with 3 nanometer chip is it nanometer? Is it nanometer?
Yeah.
It must be nanometer chips in 2023 as Qualcomm reportedly are caught in a dilemma, Guy. So Apple cracking on with it. France has fined Apple 8 million euros for targeted App Store ads.
Okay.
Death of the narrator. Apple unveils a suite of AI voice audiobooks, and apparently they've done it on the sly as well. You can actually go out and find some of their AI narrated audiobooks. Now, I've listened to one or two, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It doesn't, it's not a good reader equivalence yet.
Can you tell that it's an AI?
Yeah, well, some of them, they're not bad, Guy. They're not bad at all. They're actually, some of them, I think, are better than some bad narrated books, if that makes sense.
Well, my wife, I mean, she is subscribed to a ton of different YouTube channels.
Yep.
And a lot of the ones having to do with the supernatural, with air quotes,
Yep.
have these like little 5 to 10 minute stories that they tell. Mm-hmm. And almost every single one of them, I just from listening, it's like that's not a real person that's reading that, and I can tell from the inflection of the voice.
Well, I think that what they're doing here is they're offering this out to writers and book writers and certain smaller publishing outlets to say, well, if we won't charge you as much, or you can get more back on whatever the costs are. So I think they're doing it, and they're going to see exactly how well that goes.
I think AI
as I say, Guy,
this year's
I've got to
3D
say,
TV.
Well, no, I disagree with you. Totally disagree with you. Because, as I say, some of the book readings were better than some natural voice readings that I've heard.
That's not. I'm not basing it just on that. It says you go to Twitter, Counter Social, all the sites, and that's all everyone is talking about is AI. And what it reminds me of is the talk that was going on about crypto.
And to be perfectly honest with you,
ago.
but to be perfectly honest with you, they talk about AI, and it's actually ML they're talking about, not AI. So again, that's another big
stupid tech
demonstration presentation that I had to do when I was at work. There are apparently 5 iOS features that are still, Guy, unavailable for international users of iOS. And I did actually so the Apple Card, that's not available to international users.
Well,
Apple
that's
Cash,
not necessarily
that's not available.
Apple.
That's excuse me, I'm talking. Can you please be quiet? Thank you. Apple Cash, that's not available to international users. IDs in Wallet app, that's not available. Advanced data protection, clean energy charging. Just, Apple, what are you doing? I'm so desperate for those things to come my way that I'm going to go to Android unless you bring them to the international users.
Right now.
Tomorrow. No, I'll give them till tomorrow. They've got to listen to this
first.
Good.
You're good about that.
Apple supplier Luxshare refutes Apple production cut report. So Apple supplier Luxshare said last Thursday its cooperation with current clients was normal in response to a media report that Apple had asked suppliers to cut production of AirPods. Now, just listen to that, folks. Listen to what I said. A media report that Apple had asked. So, I just can't believe it. Anyway, there's no cut. Just
Rubers.
Apple. Now, I didn't read all of this, but apparently Apple Watch blood oxygen sensor has saved a 16-year-old skier's life. Marcella Lee, San Diego told viewers a recent skiing trip to Colorado almost ended in death for her son, but thankfully her 16-year-old son's Apple Watch revealed potentially fatally high altitude pulmonary edema, saving his life. Pretty good. Apple stock is the Rock of Gibraltar. This comes from Wedbush. Anybody not watching the podcast, the glasses have failed.
Yeah, I can't read all my notes. It's too dark.
Apple have planned to introduce its own 5G chips on its now cancelled iPhone SE4.
Oh, well, I'm sure glad they're going to have their own modem chips on a canceled phone. I was worried about that.
So was I. Apple to invest $120 million more into a building in its Austin campus. I'm sure they're looking forward to that. And today, as we record, I think it's today, 7th of Jan. Is it the 7th of Jan? We are recording on the 7th of Jan. Safari, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Safari. Happy birthday to you. Apparently, it's the fastest web browser ever created for the Mac. Probably says it.
Wait, hold on. Let me think about that for a second. You've got a company that makes computers and software, and they've built a browser that's faster than other browsers on their computer and software. Got it. Okay.
Got it.
Good.
That's the end of the snippets. Oh dear.
Yeah, and it's stories like that leads right into the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is dumb tech news for 2022. Many have and or will spill into 2023. Now, Gaz, the absolute number one dumb tech news story for 2022 has to be Twitter. From their completely ridiculous $44 billion offer, the cash grab by the board in accepting it, their equally ridiculous assurances to staff that nothing was going to change, the mass firings and subsequent rehirings when some truly essential personnel was dismissed, the amount of news that this accrued was truly amazing. Now, throw in all of the blue checkmark insanity, the number of people claiming they were going to leave Twitter but kept their accounts open and then pretended that they never said that they would leave. And you soon realize that Elon Musk isn't the only crazy person in social media, like that was ever actually in doubt. The big winners here, I suppose, were the Twitter-ish or Twitter-like platforms out there that got a sudden rush of members. Like Mastodon, if you could figure out how to join or what federations would allow you in. Unbelievable. I hardly ever go to it.
I prefer Mastodon to Counter Social.
Counter Social is the one that I'm typically on. Probably the most Twitter-like experience.
That's probably why I'm on Mastodon.
Yeah. It's like, well, guys doing Counter Social, Mastodon it is. Even other social media platforms as far removed as Twitter as they could be have experienced quite a bit of growth. Yeah, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. I actually saw something on Facebook, somebody saying that if you own the car. Why am I blanking on his car company? Tesla. If you own a Tesla, then you're some kind of, right-wing crazy person. And it's like, dude, people, before the whole Twitter thing even began, people bought these cars, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a car. They're not just going to go, ooh, get rid of that car because the person that created the company or the person that runs the company has suddenly kind of become unhinged. That's not what people do with big ticket items like that. So I don't quite get it. But on the other hand, I'm not going to be buying a Tesla, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Twitter or SpaceX or any craziness that Elon Musk does. I just can't afford one. How about you, Gaz?
Well, crazy tech stuff. Cryptocurrency, Guy. Cryptocurrency. What a year cryptocurrency has had. From the vast amount of wealth generated by a few who conveniently bailed out just before their money based on nothing collapsed to some who just watched as billions disappeared from their accounts overnight. It's been an interesting spectacle for those of us who didn't jump onto what in some ways resembles a Ponzi scheme. Because how can you go wrong with a currency that is based on nothing but hopes and dreams? Even after most hard currencies got off the gold standard, at least they were backed by the governments that issued them. Yeah, crypto is really something that I think is possibly not really going to make it in terms of moving forward in everyday usage until it gets some sort of legislation and covering and is covered by governments.
And at which point it may as well be the dollar.
Correct.
Or the pound.
Correct.
Or the euro.
Absolutely.
Or anything
it's
else.
just another currency for those analysts to trade in and make their money while we sit here spending hours.
Exactly. Next up.
Anything else?
We have
tech related.
We have quite a few. If 2022 was known for anything in the tech world, Gaz, it was the cold dash of reality that occurred when, after the pandemic was mostly declared over, there wasn't anything to buy because very few companies made anything for the previous 1 to 2 years. Everything from graphics boards for computers were in short supply, and prices skyrocketed, even assuming you could actually buy the product. If your product needed computer chips, I don't know, most major household appliances these days, cars and everything else, good luck finding anything worth having. It's a good sign that your supply chain is having issues when used cars are going for nearly the same price as non-existent new cars. There was actually, Ford actually had gotten a hold of some great big huge parking lot, and they were still building trucks, but the trucks didn't have the chips in them that they needed to run. So they would mostly build the trucks, put them in this huge, mostly clean, put them in this huge parking lot. And when the chips came in, they would just ship the trucks with the chips to the dealers, and then the dealers would have to put the chips in. And it's like, really? Huh. What else we got?
Well, we spoke about it a little bit earlier. AI. Heard much about artificial intelligence these days? Have you heard much? I bet you have. Yeah. As nearly everything is starting to be defined by how much AI it has. ML. As silly as that statement is, there is actually debates, or there are actually debates happening right now over whether AI, art or influenced art can actually be considered art. Art. Funny how there's a bunch of new companies in startup with AI all over their promotional materials, just as crypto is rapidly losing steam. Yes. Do a search for AI startup and there's plenty to choose from. They're all going to turn out to be money pits. No idea, but the coincidence with capital turning away from crypto while launching or latching onto the AI bandwagon is too much to ignore. Totally. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I mean, for me, AI is really overrated in terms of actual AI. A lot of these companies do machine learning stuff. They don't actually do AI. They are doing some stuff technically in that realm, but it really is ML. But nobody knows what the hell ML is. In fact, a lot of people don't really know what AI is, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah.
Okay. The next one.
Can I jump into the next one?
Sure.
Because I really like you to take the last one.
Okay.
I really would. So how to destroy your own tech industry in one easy step. If there is any bright side to the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, it's that it's exposed Russia's military as really not all that good. And it's made companies re-examine their policies in regards to having Russia as a partner. There's actually many programmers from Russia contributing bits of code for all manners of tech. Most of which is now under a lot of scrutiny, with many programmers deleting or editing their profiles to remove any hint of their being from Russia. Furthermore, some of the best and brightest have attempted to leave the country to avoid being drafted. Yes, I've got to say, Mr. Putin, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you kind of screwed yourself there, dude. You know, everyone was so totally afraid of the Russian military, and you know, you even had Trump telling European countries, you need to beef up your defensive posture so that, because those Russians, they're going to come over that hill anytime now. It's like, are they? Yeah. Are they really?
Yeah.
I don't think they are. The last story that we have, it's not really a story. Gaz, do you know what NFT is?
An NFT?
Yeah.
I think I know sort of what it could be.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure if you ask me to describe, it's kind of, you tell me, because I think
well,
I know,
it's a good thing I have it written down, because I have no idea either. However, the description that I found was that it's a non-fungible token, which has nothing to do with fungus, probably. In regard to NFTs, it's an item or items, usually digital in nature, and typically meant to be unique or one of a kind. Since it's digital, the way to keep track of it is through the use of what's called a blockchain, which shows who has actual ownership of the file. Yeah, while those who dabble in NFTs claim it isn't a scam, if it looks, feels, and smells like a scam to practically anyone who isn't involved in the buying and selling of unique digital items, it's probably a scam. Unless you have oodles and oodles of money to lose, run. Don't walk away from anyone hustling these. Now, the other thing is and this makes me laugh. It's like nobody learns from anything that has happened before. A DAO. DAO, on the other hand, are different. It stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. How does this work? Well, let's define it. And this comes directly from the interwebs, because I could not make this up in my wildest dreams. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization that is an emerging form of legal structure that has no central governing body and whose members share a common goal, Gaz, to act in the best interest of the entity, popularized through cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Because there's a recommendation. And blockchain technology, pause for dramatic effect. DAOs are used to make decisions in a bottoms-up management approach. Okay, you got that?
Can you just repeat that last bit? Rather than bottoms.
DAOs are used to make decisions in a bottom-up management approach. Yes.
Yeah.
Though I'm sure bottoms are definitely involved in this somehow. All right. Here are the key takeaways from a DAO. A decentralized autonomous organization is an entity structure in which token holders, so in other words, how much does this sound like crypto, participate in the management and decision-making of the entity. There is no central authority of a DAO. Instead, power is distributed across token holders who collectively cast votes. Those with the most tokens have the most power. All votes and activities through the DAO are posted on a blockchain, making all actions of users publicly viewable. A DAO must ensure security is prioritized, as exploits can leave a DAO drained of millions of dollars, Gaz, of its treasury savings. So, to sum this all up, It's a decentralized organization whose members are expected to always act in the best interests of the DAO and not suddenly just take the money and run, leaving the other members penniless. Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Tech's been good this year, hasn't it?
It has, at least as far as the stupid stories go. Are you nodding your head?
I am nodding my head.
Oh, good.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
Okay, some quick tips here, mainly for typing environments on your Mac, Guy. Control M and space automatically brings up the emoji icon, you know, that little sub menu. When you're typing, if you use the Option key when typing using your arrows and you want to move your cursor, if you use the Option key, rather than just moving one letter at a time when you're moving your arrows, it will jump one word at a time. So you can flip through your sentence if you want to move on, move your cursor within the writing environment that you're in. This should work on most, as I say. Also, if you want to highlight some of a string of letters, and you're actually typing away and you don't want to move your hand to your mouse or to your trackpad, if you press the Shift key while you're moving one word at a time, or when you're using the Option key by moving, sorry, let me rephrase that. When you're using your arrow keys and you're moving one letter at a time.
Have I told you about DAOs?
And then if you hit the Option key, you're moving one word at a time. If you also press the Shift key, that will then highlight the letters and words that you're moving through if you want to cut, paste, copy, or do any of those. So couple of quick tips there if you do lots of writing and you want to highlight or you want to move your cursor through whatever writing environment that you're in on your Mac. And obviously Control Command Space brings up those emojis, because that's really important to have emojis in your very important writing guide.
Yeah, because people read emojis like, what?
What? Wait, what? Yeah, but there's lots of other things in emojis that you can use as well. I can see you're nodding your head at that.
I am.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Oh, Guy's broken it.
Why wasn't that working? Oh, somehow it says only play when pressed. How did that happen? Let me try it again. Okay, now it's working the way it's supposed to, and I don't look like an idiot. Okay, well, one of those statements is true.
One of those statements is true. Okay. Speaking of Russia and the Ukraine, as usual, there is a timeout.com list of helpful Ukrainian donation sites. They'll be on the show notes on the mymac.com website. Also, links to the Ukrainian Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders. Even if you don't want to contribute for one reason or other to the Ukraine, the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders are two really, really good sites. Or charities. Gaz, I see that you have a pick this week. Yeah. So Guy, what I like is I like having books to listen to. I'm not a subscriber of Audible. I'm not a big fan of some of the readers, and I don't just want to pay that money each month because I don't listen to that many. But occasionally I find particular items on the web, and you can download these free books. They're not all explicitly older books, but I've recently found a Lord of the Rings BBC radio dramatization on the web, and it's obviously got all of those little broken down tracks. Well, I don't want to have to play it on the Safari app, either on my phone or on my Mac, because it will lose my place. I mean, they're pretty good at holding your place, but it will lose it, or I will lose it. So what I want to do is obviously
it's just
download
of pages.
And plus I want to download some of those items and then put them onto my device so I can use it anytime. Well, I've done this before. I think I've mentioned this app before many, many years ago, but I've re-downloaded it because I haven't used it for some time. And I like the name of the company. I've said that before. I know Splasm Software Inc.
Oh, yeah. They make other
Audiobook.
stuff too.
They do, yeah. They've got a few other bits as well, but AudioBook Builder too. But this you can buy from the website or also in the Mac App Store. So I've downloaded it and I'm going to be using it to obviously put all of those clips together so that I can listen to the books in my Books app rather than in my Music app, although I think you can do it so you can listen to it in your Music app, but it's better if it's in your Books app. Keeps the chapters, keeps your place, all of that stuff. So my what are we calling this now, this section? Picks, yeah. is AudioBook Builder 2. It's currently, I think in the UK it's about £8 or £9, £8.99 I think it is. So it's probably a similar price in the US. I like Splasm software, so I thought, it always did me well previously. I'm going to re-download it and do it again because it's been some iterations of software updates from Apple since, so I'm sure my old one won't work because it's been quite a few years. There you go.
No feedback that I'm aware of this week. But if you would like to support the show, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/MacParrot. You can go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. Yeah, I'd like to see an audio reader get that. AI, there's a test for the AI. When I'm talking like this, can it still translate it to text? And the last one, of course, is PayPal. You can pay a pal if you go to paypal.me/MacParrot. Thank you. Now, guys.
Yes.
If people wanted to get a hold of you and say, is there any AI at all involved in the creation of this podcast, how would they do so?
Well, if they send an email to gaz@mymac.com, that's Jz at mymac.com, or if they tweet me or toot me or whatever you call it on Counter Social, because I am on Counter Social, on Mastodon, or on Twitter, it's Gazmaz for all of those. GAZMAZ. You can also send still on Twitter only, Guy and Gaz, GUYANDGAZ on the Twitterverse. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com, FWDBACK, mymac.com. Now,
his name was Guy. No fooling.
Deep breath.
Nice and easy.
I know. Didn't try to kill me this week.
I mean, we haven't been away that long, but it's been a little bit extra because we did last week's show pretty quickly. So if
you remember Guy,
yeah, and you want
an email from Guy,
how would they do it?
Oh, it's so very easy. You would send that email to Guy at mymac.com. You could also reach me over on the Twitters and Counter Social and Mastodon. I am Macparrot on all of those, and I'm also VertShark over on the Twitters.
I'm having to do Macparrot for all of those different.
Oh, right.
And you're also
VertShark over on the Twitters. There we go. Guys, yeah, I said it a couple times. I get that. What else? We have a Skype telephone number, Gaz.
We do.
I don't know how much longer we're going to have this Skype telephone number.
We don't know how much longer. We don't know how much longer.
But that Skype telephone number,
my picture's
your camera just dropped.
Yep, that's my camera just dropped.
Got all wonkified. That would be 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. Or take that 1 and +1 and sit it down, give it a good talking to, because you don't need it if you go right to the Skype app and just dial 703-436-9501. And there's something new this week, Gaz.
No.
we have a Google Voice number, and I'm probably going to be moving over to this. So write this number down. It'll be in the show notes if you can't remember it. It is 703-828-4677. That number again is 703-828-4677. Doesn't quite have the same snap.
No.
As the
I think we're
Skype
just going to have to
number
get. I think we'd have to get rid of both of those.
And just come up with something.
Nothing.
It's 1-800.
No,
call Guy and Gaz.
Nothing. No. Yeah. That's not going to happen. Anyway.
Yeah. So I would like to say to everyone who's paid attention this week, and I know there's a couple of you.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you all so very, very much for joining us here on the MyMac.com podcast. It is greatly appreciated. And if you have any stupid tech stories that you would like us to talk about, just send it to us in all the various ways that are there. You can even call our Google Voice number, which is 703-828-4677, and tell us that way, and we'll play it on the show. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And Gaz, I think it is gold. I think that we're good enough this week. I think that we're smart enough with all those stupid tech stories, and that doggone it, woof, woof, where is that little pup? People like us.
You know, Guy, I can saw a piece of wood in half just by glancing at it.
Really?
You see, I saw it with my own two eyes.
Oh, my God.
End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.